But here's the thing, my love. I know you've worked hard on yourself. I know that you can do just fine by yourself. And I know that you're afraid of dating again. And the fact that you're here tells me that there is still a deep desire and longing that you would like to find love. Hello, my love. Welcome back to the Relationship Rehab Podcast. If you're new here, my name is Samantha. I am your attachment trauma specialist, helping you heal heartbreak, fall back in love with yourself, heal those anxious attachment patterns of sabotage, managing relationship anxiety, so you can attract and create the most beautiful, healthy, secure relationship that you desire and deserve. This episode is inspired by a conversation that I had with my client just this week. We have been working together for a few weeks now, healing her heart after a messy divorce and rebuilding her self-worth and finding herself again. And she has got herself to the spot where she is so in love with her life. She has found her peace and she's finding her confidence again. She's making friends. She's doing really well in her career. And she said to me, life is so good. I can't remember the last time I felt this good, that I felt this peaceful and at peace with myself as well, because the negative thoughts have gone, the anxiety is gone, and I feel joy and excited and inspired and all this wonderful stuff. And I'm like, yes, this is so beautiful to hear. And then she said, but I don't think I will ever put myself in the space where I'm dating again. I was like, oh, okay, let's talk about it. She has built her life to a place where she is so happy, so content, so at peace that the thought of getting into a relationship or getting back out there to date again is actually giving her anxiety is not something that she can see herself doing because she is so afraid of messing up her peace. That the idea of inviting in this wild west of the dating world is going to ruin that, is going to disturb what she has worked so hard on creating. And I get it. I get it. When you put yourself out there after being so burnt in the past and being so hurt and having your heart broken and being rejected or even betrayed in some way, every ounce of your being, every cell in your body is going to be like, absolutely not. We are not doing that again. So it's probably better off that we stay single and we wave the I don't need a man flag and just push everybody away, put our walls up and just hide away from the dating world and be content by ourselves. And she was saying, like, I don't want to open the gates to be entertaining the type of men that I used to attract, the narcissists, the players, the bad boys, the avoidance, only to be set back in my anxious ways of spiraling and completely losing all that peaceful, serene calm that you have found, and instead giving way to this chaos, this obsession, this anxiety of when are they going to text me back? Like we're leaving all that in the past. And we are afraid that is all going to come back up again to the surface if we put ourselves out there. And sometimes it's not even if we're attracting the same guys that we attracted before when we were deep in our anxious attachment, but it may be the good guys with all the good intentions that we really like, but may just not like us back or doesn't want to continue dating us any further. And that idea of rejection, of being rejected when we find it very rare to find someone that we actually like. We don't want to put ourselves in that position. And I totally get it. Who would want to sign up for that when you put it that way, right? It's just easier to just build your fence as high as you can and feed your ego with that pride that you don't need a man and that you're better off alone. But here's the thing, my love. I know you've worked hard on yourself. I know that you can do just fine by yourself. And I know that you're afraid of dating again. And the fact that you're here tells me that there is still a deep desire and longing that you would like to find love, that you would like to have that partner in your life. And here's the thing, it's not a desire that's going to go away. It's going to be there, knocking on the door, waiting to be heard by you. And the more that you push it down, and pump yourself up with that pride that you're this independent woman who doesn't need a man, the more empty that you're going to feel at the end of the night, or the more empty you will feel when you see couples in the street holding hands and laughing together and getting coffee and getting married, because it's not because you don't have someone. That's not what the emptiness is there to tell you. It's there because it's not being heard, it's being ignored by you, because you're pumping yourself up from fear. I get it, that you're better off alone. When in reality, when we own up to the fact that we want a relationship, but we're scared of it, both can coexist together, then that emptiness will start to be filled by your own love, by your own truth, by being honest with yourself. And it's not a bad thing. And I know that sometimes owning this desire can make us feel really vulnerable. And again, we might have had experiences in the past where when we've been vulnerable with ourselves or with others, it's led to heartbreak, it's led to rejection, it's led to abandonment, and we don't want to be vulnerable anymore. And it's a little bit vulnerable to own up to the fact that you want a relationship. Maybe you think, oh, that makes me really desperate or needy or sad. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's such a beautiful thing to own your desires. Own the fact that you desire and deserve an incredible partner, an incredible relationship. And that doesn't say anything about the life that you've built for yourself. It doesn't say anything about missing something. I feel like when we're anxiously attached, we've always gone after relationships because we felt that there's something missing, that there's this hole to fill, that we don't feel complete. And now we're learning a new way. We're learning how to date from a secure attachment, an earned secure attachment. And we're learning to go after a partner and a relationship, not from a space of need and desperation, but from desire. And that can feel unfamiliar and uncomfortable and may put us back in that space where we feel that other people might think that we're lonely and desperate because we desire this relationship. So hiding away behind your mask and your armor and your shields is not the best solution to something that we feel like is threatening our peace. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is the idea of still being able to protect your peace and getting back out there and getting that connection, that relationship that you desire. Yes, both can coexist. So let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that we can do to start to protect our peace is I'm going to introduce you to the concept of risk and reward. And when we think about anything that we have desired in our lives, there's always been a risk that we have to take in order to get that reward. Risk and reward are like the two sides of the same coin. I want you to think about anything that you have desired in your life and how you were able to achieve that. And chances are that you would be able to remember a time where you have had to take a risk in order to get that reward that comes from taking the risk. And this could be a relationship. So you probably had to take a risk to get that relationship. You would have had to get yourself out there on the dating apps and risk rejection. You would have had to approach someone in the bar and risk rejection. You would have had to have that first kiss and go on the first date and risk that rejection. Like rejection is always at the other end of taking that risk as well. And with anything that we have desired and achieved in our lives, we have always had to face the risk of rejection. All these little moments along the way that has represented risk. So in order to get that reward, we have to put ourselves out there. Let's think about in your career, in your business. Maybe you're really proud of what you've built and where you are. Chances are you have had taken big risks along the way to get where you are at right now. You would have had to go to that job interview and risk getting rejected. You would have had to apply for that promotion to risk and get rejected or even fired. Starting that business, investing money, risk the uncertainty of it may not even working. I want you to think about the ways that you have put yourself out there, maybe not necessarily in your love life, but you did it and you overcame that risk of rejection and reaped those rewards. A good one that a lot of us can resonate with is learning to drive. Can you remember when you were 17, 18, or even older, when you were first learning to drive and getting behind that steering wheel and shitting your pants? Because this is probably the scariest thing you've ever done. And you're now in charge of this massive machine that could crash at any moment. And there was just so much anxiety, so much fear. But you took the risk because you had the desire to drive and you passed your test. You overcame all those challenges. And now, when you think about driving, you're probably doing it on autopilot. You're that comfortable. So we all have a comfort zone and we all have a level of tolerance. And in order to expand our comfort zone, we have to stretch our tolerance. We have to be able to stretch into what we call that learning zone, which feels unfamiliar, feels uncomfortable. Yes, there are risks along the way as well, but that knowing that we cannot get what we desire, that reward, anything meaningful that we want to achieve in our lives without taking risks. So you can see all the things. Now, where you're at right now in your life as a single woman or a man may be a huge reward for what you've been through, from healing from heartbreak or healing from that toxic, abusive relationship that you've been through. And now this peaceful single life is your reward. And that's beautiful. You are so within your right to stay in this space if that is what you want. However, if you are wanting and desiring a higher level of reward in some area, be it relationships, then we usually have to take some risks to get to that higher level. I also want to introduce you to a concept called the law of impermanence. Now, I have this thing, if you know me personally, you would know this about me. I talk about death a lot. I meditate on death and the law of impermanence. And what this means, without sounding too morbid, is that we're all going to die one day. And it was a big personal experience that I went through where I sat on my grandmother's deathbed and listened to all the regrets that she had. She was reeling them off, all these regrets. And it was so painful for me to hear that all her regrets were all of the things that she didn't do, that she wished she had the courage, the bravery, the balls to go ahead and do those things. Because on your deathbed, in those moments, it doesn't even matter. Those fears, those anxieties no longer matter. So I want to put that to you now, whether this is something that you meditate on or even think right now with me as you're listening. If you are on your deathbed, what type of regrets do you want to have? Do you want to have those regrets that, oh, I didn't put myself out there. I didn't give it a shot. I didn't open myself up. Or are you going to regret that you did do that, even though it didn't work? And it's not even a regret at that point, right? You want to say, at least I gave it my everything. I did all that I could that was within my control to open myself up to this beautiful love. I put myself in situations where that could happen. I took risks. I was brave. I was courageous. I believed that this was possible for me, and it was. What if it is possible for you? And that is what you were able to get as your reward. Or maybe it is another reward that you've got from putting yourself out there. Or maybe it's a place where at least I gave it everything. And even though it didn't happen for me, I did all that I can. And I believe that there is a greater level of peace that comes with that, with knowing that we did everything that we could to achieve that goal, even if it didn't happen for us, rather than trying to pretend that this goal, this desire of ours is not valid, is not important because we're too afraid to put ourselves out there and doing nothing to contribute to it, and possibly being on our deathbed at the end of our lives, regretting it later on. And there's this Bruce Springsteen song, I think it's called Dancing in the Dark. Doo-doo. And there's a lyric that says, "You can't start a fire worrying about your little world falling apart." And what this means is that we can't start fires, whether in our relationships or our careers or whatever we want to stir up in our lives, worrying that our little cozy world that we've built is going to fall apart. We build these comfortable worlds that are so amazing, and because we worked hard for them, we will do what we can to protect them. It's natural to want to do that. But there are times in our lives where we want to start fires. And love may be one of those areas we want to go and do that and find this amazing, incredible relationship. But we can't go and get that if we're spending and worrying, if we're spending our lives worrying about our little world that we built ourselves falling apart. Okay, so now that we've had that conversation about risk and reward, there is a little thing that we need in order to support us to take those risks and handle any rejection or scrapes or tumbles that we may go through by putting ourselves out there, and that is resilience. So, number two is knowing how to build resilience. And this means pretty much like being able to bounce back through trials and tribulations that we go through in our lives. And the more resilience that we have, the more better equipped we are to cope with the life struggles and strives that we go through, the obstacles that we have to jump through. And the way that we build resilience is through putting ourselves out there and working through any rejection or trials and tribulations that we have from giving something a go. For example, I think last year there was this trend on TikTok, or maybe it was just within my friendship circle, that there was this rejection challenge. And it was more for our businesses, but we all wanted to build our resilience around rejection. So we set ourselves this rejection challenge. Now you can do this as well in the dating world or maybe something a little bit more comfortable. But we set ourselves the challenge that for every week we were going to strive to get 5 no's from people. Or maybe it was more, but I said, I'm comfortable with 5. And we purposely went out there in order to get no's, to hear the word no, to hear the word I can't, or something that is going to seep with rejection. And this could be asking the waiter for a free cake and hearing the word no. And it may surprise you. You might get free cake and there's a win-win all around. And that was then going to reprogram you that when you put yourself out there, you may just get what you want. You may get that free cake. You may get that date with that person. And but when you intentionally set yourself out to hear no, and noticing how that makes you feel in your body, noticing what those narratives and beliefs that may come up to the surface as a result, and working through them in a bit more of a lower risk capacity. So, asking the waiter for free cake isn't going to sting as much as maybe asking that guy out or girl out and hearing the word no. So, we're building up our tolerance for rejection through resilience. And this is meant to be uncomfortable as well, to stretch your window of tolerance. So maybe you want to give that a go of a rejection challenge and hearing the word no. And the more you hear it, the more comfortable you will be and the less impact it will have on you. I see it now in my business all the time as I get onto sales calls and we're having a consultation, and most of the time it is a yes, but there are times where it will be a no. And the more that I go through that, the less it's going to sting, the less it's going to impact on my self-worth and confidence. The same in dating. The more that you hear, I had a great time, but I just don't think that this connection is for me, that this is not a great match for me, instead of spiraling and being like, oh my God, this means something about me. It's like because I'm not enough. It's because there's a better people out there. Instead, we're like, cool. All right. Thanks for being honest. I appreciate that. Good luck. and it doesn't impact you in the way that it may have before. So finding these little pockets of ways to build up that resilience, and being a resilient, confident, secure woman or man isn't about your ability to stay inside the walls of your house, metaphorically and literally, like protecting your heart. That is not what it means to be a secure woman or man, and not putting yourself out there if that's something that you want. Real confidence and resilience comes from getting out there and confronting the world and these trials and tribulations, coming back home to yourself, knowing that you survived that, you did it, you did the hard thing, and you're still here. You're not crumbled into 1,000 pieces. And the more that you reprogram that in yourself, that you did that risky thing, you did that uncomfortable thing, you did that hard thing, I'm still here, I'm still safe. My health, my life has not been greatly impacted by this thing. I can do hard things. This is one of my favorite mantras. And that builds that resilience. The more that you put yourself into a level, and it's a on the edge level of discomfort, that you're telling yourself you can go through this temporary pain and come out the other side without falling into a state of suffering, without staying there and ruminating and infesting yourself in this pain. Because we're coming back to peace, right? True peace in your heart isn't about hiding from life, isn't about going out there and having this full experience of the human experience. It's knowing that you can get out there and experience all the things, knowing you've got your own back, knowing that you got this, that you can trust yourself to do it, knowing that you can handle the scrapes and bumps. So instead, we're instilling this sense of peace of being bulletproof instead of the peace of hiding in your shelter, in your four walls that you have built around your heart. All right. So maybe now that you're at a point where you're thinking, okay, risk, reward, resilience, got it. I'm owning it. I'm ready to get myself back out there. I may still be a little bit scared, but that's okay. And I do want to create this beautiful relationship for myself. I'm owning it. And I'm ready to build that resilience to protect my peace rather than hiding away. Now that I'm listening to this, I know that I can have both. All right, Samantha, give me more tips on how I can do that. So, this is my first big one that I said to my client when we were having this conversation. Go slow. Please go at your own pace. Now, my anxiously attached beauties, what we have tended to do in the past is rush. We're rushing into relationships. We feel this spark, we feel the fireworks, we feel like, oh my God, I have to have this person. We're mistaking intensity for intimacy, and we feel like we've known this person our whole lives, and we need to be in that commitment right now because I am so afraid of not only losing this person, but losing them to someone else. I have to get him down, I have to pin him down as soon as possible. And maybe because the attachment system is so ignited within us, is lighting up like a casino, that is driving us to lean further into our relationships and get to the point where we feel safe. Because dating hasn't always felt safe for us when we are riddled with anxiety, when we are having to pull back, when really we want to lean in fully and just immerse ourselves and enmesh ourselves into this person, all driven by this, first of all, fear of abandonment, but also the beliefs that if I have this relationship, I will feel complete, I will feel whole, I will have meaning and purpose in my life. And we're tying our self-worth to our relationship status. Whereas when we do the work on ourselves and we earn that secure attachment, we have that realization that's not the case, that we can find that meaning and purpose within ourselves, that we have the self-worth within us, that we get to in-source all the things that we need rather than outsource. That's already the work that we've been through, right? So now it is a practice of sustaining that, maintaining that, making sure that you remember that rather than falling into old, anxiously attached ways of becoming completely enmeshed. So you have to go at a pace that allows you to do that, allows you to keep your nervous system regulated, to avoid any premature attachment to a person, allow you to get to know this person, get to know their values. Are they meeting your standards? Do you have all the necessary and essential things in common? Let's normalize the slow burn. Again, anxiously attached people have been so used to feeling instant sparks. And maybe we're meeting people now that are more on the healthy and secure radar that doesn't necessarily ignite that within us. And we're wondering what this is because it's not familiar. Whereas secure relationships actually are slow burners. They build up. That is the healthiest way to get into a relationship, is to allow it to grow. So there is no premature attachment. So you do get to know each other. So when you go at a slow pace, not only do you protect yourself, your heart, your peace, but you're also protecting the relationship, and you're giving it space to breathe. You're giving it space to grow. This also goes for dating. If you are using dating apps, I see this all the time. Dating app burnout. It is such a real thing. People are getting sick and tired of it, sick and tired of the apps. And I'm not surprised if you're using it like you're addicted to it, where you're spending your whole evening swiping left and right, and all of a sudden all your time is gone. You feel exhausted and depleted, and this overdrive, this overstimulation of these apps. And you're talking to so many people at one time. You're over dating. Maybe you're going on so many dates that you're almost becoming numb to it. Everybody is blurring into each other. You don't know who you're talking to anymore. You've got so many conversations open. You can't remember any information about anybody. And this is going to lead to burnout. And you're going to start to disconnect. And you're going to start to say things like, this is taking too much of my time. This is taking me away from too much of my life. And I can't do this. And this sucks. And dating apps suck. Or on the other end, where I'm going to make my whole life about this. And it's not going anywhere. And I keep swiping and I'm not getting any matches, or I'm not meeting any great people. And that is going to lead you down a rabbit hole of formulating beliefs that there is nothing out there, that there's maybe something wrong with you, and everyone else around you is all loved up. What's wrong with you when you can't even get something great off a dating app? And here's the thing about dating apps, they are very superficial. We are judging people on their looks from the pictures that we see, rather than the information that they give or the energy that they exhume. I'm such a big person on energy. When I meet someone's energy, it makes such a difference rather than their appearance. Dating apps don't allow us to do that. So I want to challenge you to take a look at, if you are using dating apps, to look at your usage. How are you using dating apps? Are you going into it thinking, oh, not this again? Here we go. I better get an hour in where I'm just swiping left and right and hoping for the best. That's not going to be a great result if that's the type of energy that you're bringing to the dating apps, or the mindset that you have that is, oh, this is such a waste of time. But anyway, I've got nothing better to do, or I guess this is something I have to do. When we are leading into that with that energy and that intention, we're not going to get great results. So I want to encourage you to look at what is sustainable for you. Do you need to set a boundary with yourself? And doing just an hour a day, an hour and a half a day, maybe you create a ritual before you go on the app. Make it a ritual, make it fun. Make everything a ritual in your life. Make it fun. So instead of spending your whole evening swiping on dating apps, you set that boundary, you set that limit. You're not going to allow yourself any more time than an hour or half an hour a night, because you know you're going to start to burn out again. Notice those beliefs and narratives and stories that might come up again. So be very intentional with using the dating apps. And going back to the taking it slow. Now, we never know when we're going to meet our person, right? It could happen tomorrow, next month, 3 years from now. Even if we're doing all the things, we never know when it's going to meet. So when we are forcing ourselves to meet this person straight away because we're feeling incomplete, or I don't want to go through this long process of swiping on the dating apps, where again, meeting that with this forceful energy, there's only so much that you can control. You can't guarantee when that person's going to come into your life. But what if you knew that they will come eventually? How would you change your approach to dating? So we want to make sure that we don't get ourselves to the point where we're rushing, we're scrambling, we're forcing the process to be quicker than it needs to be, and we're going to get burnt out, throw in the towel, and say never again. If you're spiritual in any way, I want you to lean into your spiritual faith and remind yourself that everything happens in God's timing, not your own. You can only do so much. We are co-creators in this life. We, yes, have willpower and free will. Yes, we have free will, but God also has a hand in everything as well. So let's not rush God. Let's trust Him. Let's start to enjoy the process rather than rush it and just take our freaking time. So by slowing down, not only are we defending our peace because we're not going to go into burnout, but we're also not no longer falling into that premature attachment and doing things that we really don't want to do. We're not going to force ourselves to go on a date every night of the week or spend hours on the dating apps. Make it work for you. And going slow also talks to many of us who have been struggling with anxious attachment and dating and being in relationships with this attachment style, because when we meet someone that we really like, not only is it rare, we feel like we meet someone that we really like, but we almost get so consumed by that connection that everything that we were doing just comes crashing down. And now no longer are we caring about our hobbies, no longer are we going out with our friends or focusing on our work. And all of a sudden, everything evolves around this person and around this connection. And we become tunnel focused into this person. And what that does is puts a lot of pressure on the connection. And there is a risk of us sabotaging it when we're pouring all of our effort, all of our attention on this person. It can be felt both ways. So by going slow and setting those boundaries for yourself, you can continue to sustain everything else in other areas of your life. You can continue your focus in your work and seeing your friends, and things don't have to just stop abruptly once you found love. And maybe if this is right for you as well, considering multi-dating, meaning not dating just one person at once. But I get it. It's not for everybody to just date multiple people. Maybe that is not aligned or authentic for you, but give it a go. This can also take us away from that risk of premature attachment when we have multiple connections. But again, just be aware when these connections start to fall into healthy or unhealthy attachment, rather than getting yourself in that pickle where now you have to choose between multiple men or women that you all have feelings for all of them. So, like I said, this is not for everyone, but it's definitely something that is out there as an option. All right, the next point I want to make to protect your peace and avoid premature attachment, if this is the fear that you have going back into dating, is to create a reset ritual. I love reset rituals for everything, and especially when we are dating. And maybe it is when we go on that date and it turns out to be disappointing, or it's bringing up a lot of narratives and stories again that, oh, really, is this it? Is this all that is left? And maybe there is no one out there for me. And we're starting to notice all these uncomfortable emotions and narratives coming back up, creeping back up when you do meet someone that you like and they didn't text you back, or you slept with someone and all of a sudden they go cold. These are all things that really do have the potential to put us back into that anxious space and take away our peace. So, a way to do this, again, bridging from the going slow, is to not jump from connection to connection, to take a breath, to take a reset in between. So, have a practice to recalibrate yourself when this happens. And this could look like journaling, breath work, meditation, showing gratitude for all the ways that you already have such a fulfilling life, all the love and connection you already have, all the peace that you have built for yourself. And again, setting that boundary that I am not allowing these people that I'm meeting in the dating world that may not have texted me back or ghosted me to take away my peace. That is your choice. That is something that you decide. That is something that a boundary that you set for yourself. And this reset ritual allows us to really see any triggers, old beliefs, old wounding that may come up for us. Like going back out there dating is next level to your healing journey. Because when you're working through heartbreak and you're becoming single again, and you are working through beliefs and wounds that may have come up in the previous relationship, there may be other things to come up. And I know you're thinking, oh my God, more stuff I need to work through. Yeah, they may be re-triggered. And these are all opportunities and lessons, and for us to start to get curious, practicing that skill of curiosity. Okay, I'm feeling really anxious again because I'm not hearing from this person. What's behind the anxiety? Is my fear of abandonment piping up? Is it because I'm still holding on to the belief that I'm not enough? These are all doorways to greater and deeper healing for us all. So, reset rituals can also work to support you not to fall into that premature attachment. So, if you go on a date, or if you go on a date and you're building a connection with someone, just making sure you have that ritual, those few days where you are coming back to yourself. Because anxiously attached people, we tend to lose ourselves in connections and relationships. So it's really important you put something in place so you come back to your sense of self, so you're not enmeshing yourself in people, reminding yourself that yes, you have to keep your appointments with your friends, you do have your work to focus on, and you practice all your somatic practices with being present, being mindful, managing that anxiety so you sustain that sense of self, remembering all those things that give you meaning and purpose and love and connection, so we're not pouring it all into this person. And lastly, my last bit of advice for you, my loves, is to find supportive people for this journey. Surround yourself with people who can see your blind spots, who can offer you support and guidance and encouragement and cheerleader you into this process and be there to support you, to talk to you through things. Because if we are meeting people that we like or we are dating, it's always really helpful to have those people or even that person to echo back to us any old narratives that might be coming up, or to see those things that might be happening that we don't see because we're falling back into that premature attachment or hypervigilance. And just having that person there to walk with us on that journey can be super helpful. But be careful who you choose. Choose people that are already secure within themselves or have been working on earning that secure attachment. Because if we are surrounding ourselves with family and friends that are also insecurely attached, the advice and the insights that they may offer may not be the advice and insights that we are needing in order to stay within our earned secure attachment. And if there is no one in your life like that, maybe possibly think about getting a coach, a therapist, or joining a community-based or joining a community that can support you to see that can support you on this journey as you get back out there dating. And I guess this is a great time to unapologetically plug in the announcement that I will be opening a membership next month in September for this reason. It's going to support people to heal heartbreak, but it's also going to support people who want to get back out there in the dating world, but they're afraid of falling back into their old patterns and staying in that space, staying in your insecure space and having a whole community and a coach, hi, behind your back, holding you accountable, calling you out, seeing your blind spots, offering encouragement, offering advice that is going to get you closer and closer to your goal, and enjoy the process along the way of building that resilience, of going deeper into your healing. And seeing all that coming up for you, you do not have to do this alone. Absolutely not. There is so many people out there who want to support you, who want to encourage you, who want to see you happy. Lean on those people. Ask them for their support and help. Or get yourself in the room where people are going through the same thing so you don't have to do this alone. So, my loves, let's recap those 5 practices that you can put into place right now to get yourself ready, because you may never feel ready and you never know when you're going to meet your person. But you can start making very small movements that's not going to overwhelm you, but is going to stretch you out of your comfort zone. And that is that risk and reward mindset, knowing that we don't get anything meaningful or what we desire or reward without taking those risks. So being able to expand our tolerance to rejection, to risk management, building that resilience in order to bounce back and put ourselves back out there. Going slow. If you don't take anything away from this episode but one thing, it would be this: go slow. Normalize the slow burn. Please set those boundaries for yourself, for other people. Have a reset ritual for yourself. After every date, after every connection, come back to yourself. I can't stress this enough, my loves. We do not want you falling back into that pattern where you're losing yourself in relationships. Have things in place where you sustain your sense of self. Go to your somatic practices. Go to your subconscious reprogramming rituals that you have done in your journey of healing your anxious attachment. And surround yourself with people who genuinely want to see you happy, who can support you, encourage you, and see those blind spots as you get yourself back out there. Now, if you're listening to this and this is something you want to go ahead with and you want to be able to start putting all this into practice, I want to invite you into a free workshop that I'm doing also next month. It's called Master the Art of Detachment. And detachment is a skill that we all require to learn when we are getting back out there in the dating world. And it's going to help us to not get prematurely attached or enmeshed in others as well. So it is a secure attachment skill that we are going to go through together. So if detaching feels hard for you, and this could be detaching from an ex or detaching from connections that you've made, and you say, yeah, I do tend to lose myself. Yeah, I do tend to break my own boundaries, then detachment is a skill that you need to master. So it's going to help you to not fall back into those spirals of anxiety when someone doesn't text you back. And I'm going to teach you those practical tools to be able to disrupt those cycles, those patterns, regulate your nervous system, keep it regulated, and date from a space of security and self-worth and desire rather than desperation and fear. So that is going to be on September the 23rd, if I remember correctly. But all the information is in the show notes as well as the link to sign up. So I would absolutely love to see you join me there. It is absolutely free. So yeah, get clicking that button and join me for that workshop. And that is it for this episode, my love. I hope that you really enjoyed it. I hope you got a lot out of it. And I want to leave you with one last thing, and that is just don't let fear get in the way of you creating the life of your dreams, because life really is too short. And I really do want for you to be on your deathbed and be like, oh, remember I did that thing, and you're having a little chuckle and a little laugh with your family members or your friends, all the things that you did do, rather than sitting with all those regrets of the things that you didn't do. Put yourself out there, my loves. Don't let fear stop you from losing your peace or losing yourself or stopping you from finding love. If you're playing the what if game, what if it doesn't work out? What if I get hurt again? What if I am not up to this or I can't cope with this? I want to flip that script for you. What if it does work out? What if you are more capable than you think? What if you have more strength within you than you realize? And you do not realize that until you put yourself in situations that challenge, that show that to you. Oh, all right. I'll leave you with that. Until next time, my loves, thank you so much for being here. And oh, share this with a friend also that needs to hear this. Oh, my love, see you next time. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode on the Relationship Rehab podcast. If you really enjoyed this episode, it would really mean a lot to me if you was to share this episode with a friend who really needs to hear what has been talked about today, and also to rate and review this podcast. Hit that subscribe or follow button so you don't miss any new episodes coming out. And as always, I'd love to hear from you. Drop a comment and let me know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode.